Hey there, welcome to the Growth Whisperers, where everything that we talk about is building enduring great companies. Companies that will last, companies that will continually produce and build momentum and really give you the life that you kind of enjoy, love, and can be proud of. I'm Brad Giles, and as always, I'm joined today with my co-host, Kevin Lawrence. G'day, Kevin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brad. I like that intro. That was good.
Well, you'd think after 82 episodes, we'd be getting a little bit better at this.
Yes.
And so hopefully it's a little bit better than the first one. So everything good in your world?
Things are great. Excited. I'm really, this is a really interesting show because we talked about it over a few weeks doing this show, and it's a real simple piece that we're talking about, but it really made me think. I'm really looking forward to sharing it today.
Yeah, good. Yeah. It's been sitting around that we've been toying with. I agree, and it's good. So we always like to begin with a word or phrase of the day. So Kev, what have you got today for us? Anything from the vault?
It's just the word. One of my favorite words is simple. And I shared in last week's show, we had our team retreat up in Whistler, and we had 10 of us for 2.5, 3 days. And as we're going through everything, and we had some new members of our team, one of the things that we kept reinforcing is simple, 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 simple. Not interested in complex things because they don't scale very well. And just my love of simplicity. And what I've realized, and I remember hearing about, I think, well, there's two quotes. One is it's attributed to Mark Twain. I don't know if it actually is, because when I had someone on my team do the research, it didn't come up as being legit, although he's quoted as saying it many, many times. It's, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time.
Yeah.
It's hard to be succinct. It's hard to be right to the point. And the same thing is when you watch a master at anything. You watch a master painter. It looks like the easiest thing in the world, and it takes a couple minutes for a masterpiece. And in the work that was so simple and simplicity, how it works time and time again. And complexity is normally created by people who are not yet masters.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So mine is courage. You and I have spoken many times about decision needs to be either hell yeah or hell no, and trying to push the thinking around decisions to how do we get it to be a hell yeah? If it's not, then it's a hell no. But there's still an element of courage, especially with big decisions. It's just not that easy. And so you and I were talking before the show about, some sort of aspects and some decisions that I'm making. And so it's about courage. It's like, sometimes, even if it is a hell yeah, you've still got to have the courage to do it.
Yes.
So simple courage.
It is simple courage, or courage is simple. Huh? Courage is simple. All you have to do is spend some time and take a step. That's awesome. Cool. Well, let's dig into today. So today is a little bit of a math formula. Now, not algebra. We're not getting that complicated, but math. And it really, profit equals intelligence multiplied by discipline.
Yeah.
Now, on their own, if you have intelligence and no discipline, intelligence times 0, you get nothing. Your intelligence is useless. And the others, and we have a saying, we use a lot, is ideas are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Good ideas and good thoughts are nice, but they're not worth anything unless they're implemented. Now, the other side of the equation, so intelligence and no discipline equals 0 profit. And no intelligence, but a lot of discipline can also lead to 0 profit. We call that barking up the wrong tree. And there's a metaphor, there's a story that comes from a dog chasing something. I don't actually know what it's from, but the point of it is that you can work so hard at something, but if it's not a great idea or great pointed in the right direction, or the customers don't think it's a great idea, or you didn't price it right, or who knows what, you can bust your butt for a big goose egg. So intelligence requires both discipline profit requires both intelligence and discipline.
So a great way to think about this is beginning with a 0, but also a derating factor. So imagine if your discipline is 50% what it could be around the business in terms of sticking to all the elements. I mean, this is really what you and I do. We bring in to organizations, we bring in intelligence and we bring in discipline. So let's look at discipline. And if you were only operating at 50% of the discipline that you could be, then your intelligence, let's say, was 100%, you're still not going to make the profit at the beginning of the equation that you should. But if your intelligence, or your business model or the way that you're working is only 50%, like you're only really making a very small amount of the profit that you should be.
Right. So in simple terms, if your profit could be $10 million, but based on our fully, the most intelligent approach and the most disciplined approach, but in the case, if your intelligence is only running at about 70 and your discipline's running at about 70, now you're still, I think 70 is still a B student, not sure, but 7 times 7 is 49. That means you'd probably be hitting about 4.9 million of profit, where someone who maxed out the intelligent discipline can make 10. Let's take it from there. You could have an 8 intelligence and a 2 discipline. You're going to do 1.6 million of profit on a $10 million possibility. Or flip it, that's very intelligent but horrible discipline. Or you could even take a moderate intelligence of 5 and a discipline of 10, and you would get 5 million.
Yeah.
So, someone who's only a 5 out of, or the intelligence of the business being 5 out of 10, but incredible discipline making 5 million bucks, versus you could have 8 out of 10 intelligent people that would make dramatically less money because they don't have the discipline. So it's not meant to be math class, ladies and gentlemen, and friends. It's just about really understanding that these two variables are really critical. And we're going to dig into both of them a little bit more. By the way, in these modern times, is saying ladies and gentlemen still the right thing to say? I don't think it is. Is saying ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm just thinking about being politically correct, Brad.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to leave you on that hill and see where you take that. I'm not talking about that at all.
Yeah, we'll pass on that by. So just friends. I'm going to say friends because friends is not
listeners.
Yes, listeners. Okay, next, let's move on.
I would tell you a quick story. There's a team that I work with, and this individual, was probably making about, I'm going to say about $250,000 in profit for quite a while. I'm talking years and years and years, 10 plus years. And it was just not there. Now, this individual didn't have the discipline, and that was the derating factor. Okay. So I harassed this person about this discipline, and he just couldn't have it. So we employed a person around a particular role that he was doing to take over that, to set some KPIs, as well as we were already running a lot of the other disciplines within the business, and profits, they were 4 times higher as a result. And that's part of where this thinking comes from. Their business model was okay. I mean, really, if they had a much better intelligence factor business model, they could have been in this role. They could have probably been doing close to $4 million. Yeah, with a great business model, but the discipline was ramped up. Maybe not as high as it could be, but let's say it was an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 subsequently. So with a mediocre intelligence or a medium intelligence and in a very good discipline, they were doing really well.
Yeah, and I was thinking about your example, and it's a bit of an extreme example, but one of my clients that when I started with them, they were making a couple million of profit, and the intelligence was mediocre.
Yeah,
and the discipline was mediocre. Now we roll forward 10 years. We have an incredibly high percentage of A players. their bottom line has gone from a couple million to knocking on the door of 100 million, like getting close, like it's incredible. And if you look at it, the disciplines that they have in place are incredible. And they have the right people in the right seats doing the right things. And the intelligence that they have, and not say IQ intelligence, but the intelligence and the understanding of their business and the market and their systems and the customer, like it's incredible. And the amount that they've been able to scale, it's a machine. And it's almost like it's so good. And they've been able to tap into some opportunities during COVID that gave it a serious bump as well. But it's so good. It has them going, like, can we sustain this?
Yeah.
Because it's such an incredible machine, but it's boatloads of intelligence and boatloads of discipline by amazing people. So it's really powerful. And as we're talking about these stories, Brad, I'm just reminded, like, that's why when we go into companies and do the work we do, it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, i.e. in terms of the results you're going to get, because it ain't rocket science what we do. Yeah. But because we understand the systems really well, to the point where the systems are simple to us, we go in and put these discipline. Well, we increase discipline and we increase intelligence.
Yeah.
We increase the strategic thinking and the insight and oversight they have of the business, both at the leadership level and for other key leaders. And then the discipline by having crystal clear KPIs and crystal clear goals, and talent reviews and all of these other things, is that it becomes just part of their ecosystem to have more discipline and give people autonomy at the same time, so it doesn't feel like a big bureaucracy. So it's amazing, but it's just enhancing those two very simple but powerful variables.
So maybe as a listener, you're thinking, you know what, I wasn't a boffin at school. I didn't do a PhD.
What's a boffin? Well, a boffin?
A boffin, like a intellectual.
Oh, we have something called a buffoon.
Right.
That means the opposite end of the spectrum.
No, it's not that.
Okay.
I wasn't an intellectual. Some people might be listening thinking, I barely made it through school. School was only there to fill in the gap.
Some of our top clients didn't make it through school.
Yeah.
Well, they did. They found creative ways to make it through school, but it wasn't based on their ability to sit in the classroom and write tests.
That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about intelligence. No. Not at all. It is the intelligence of your business model, the intelligence of the way of your strategy, the intelligence of the way that you present and understand the market, and the way that you meet the customer needs. All of the things around that is what we're talking about.
Yes. So let's dig into intelligence itself and that one variable. We know profits and outcome, but the first thing is about business models. And it's just that not all business models are created equally, even in the same industry and with the same variables around there. I've seen things in the same industry where someone will be operating at 5% net income.
Yeah.
Others will be making 25 or 35. Now, the ones that are making the 35, they're not talking about it. And I've seen many businesses that make, I've seen some businesses that making 35, 50, 60, and even 80% net income or net profit, whatever you want to call it, on notable numbers.
Yeah.
Like serious numbers, like not little startups, on substantial businesses. And again, they're very quiet about it, but it's because of intelligence, is that someone has seen an opportunity on a way to price something in a way that is quite smart, or they know how to buy something or get a resource at an incredible price, whatever it happens to be. And not all business models are focused on profit. Some are building valuation. That's a different game. But it's intelligence in knowing how to maximize a model or see opportunities that others can't.
Yeah. So interesting you mentioned that. One of the things I do is work with groups. So imagine, if you will, 4 leadership teams in a large room, and we're working through doing strategic planning together, myself and these 4 groups. Now, we learn from each other through that model. Now, there's 3, let's say, normal businesses, and I'll say normal in the context of product or service.
Profit focus. Yep.
Profit focused. And then there's one, a tech startup.
Yep.
And so we're talking about revenues and we're talking about profits as a group. And then I said to them, look, you do realize why they're focused on their run rate. And that's the main thing, because all of the other businesses in the room are going to perhaps attract a 2.5 to a 5 times multiple of EBITDA, of profit effectively. So if you make $100,000 profit, you're going to be valued at $250,000 to $500,000 plus. Whereas for the tech startup, they're going to be valued at 10 times their revenue, the top line.
Yeah.
And that was and of course, all the leadership, the other 3 leadership teams, their jaws dropped. And, they were like, oh, I see what you mean when you say now that all business models are not created equal.
Yep. Because they're also playing they're playing the valuation and get bought game versus the generate cash flow and profit for shareholders, right? They're generating value for shareholders based on appreciation of the value of the stock versus the cash flow.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that particular team listened to the growth whisperers, and now they've switched to building an enduring great company.
Hey,
and so they're about building an enduring business.
Love it.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So the first thing, so business models aren't created equally. The second thing is that, with the the intelligence, it's important, but it's taking those ideas and bringing them to life, because the secret recipe of success is good ideas that iterate towards great ideas. No idea starts out perfect. So good, iterating towards great, and then executed with discipline over a very long time. And it's the discipline of execution that gives you the feedback and insights to help to iterate the ideas and make them better. And they're kind of symbiotic. They go hand in hand if you do it really, really, really well.
Yeah. So go on.
I was saying, and others, when it gets into this kind of the space on the ideas, they'll play the Me Too commodity game and chase easy or accessible revenues and operate at 3% net or lose money on unprofitable clients or services. They're not spending the time to analyze. And I'm not saying that people aren't capable. In a lot of business, they actually don't have the data.
Yeah.
They actually don't know. The finance or accounting team is so busy just trying to get invoices out, get the books done, and collect the receivables. They don't have time to zoom out and use their intelligence to provide the operators of the business insights of how to run the business better. And that's, it's a gap we see in a lot of growing companies. They're doing the best they can. They don't have the time to think.
Yeah, and often they think that they think about themselves as being a part of an industry. So if they were a home builder, they'd think, we're in the home building industry. There's no, we do what the industry does. We build homes. They don't think they don't use that intelligence to think, how can we evolve our business model to be significantly more profitable?
And that's why it drives me bonkers when people start talking about industry averages and best practices. Well, industry average is mediocre.
Yeah.
And best practices drives you right into that mediocre middle, and I hate it. Now, if you look at industry data, you want to look at the best. The highest performing 1 or 2 is what you should benchmark. Don't benchmark the middle unless you want to be mediocre. Anyway, I get crazy passionate about that because it's just,
we love it when you get crazy.
Well, because the best practices really are common practices.
I agree.
I don't want to be common.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So back on the intelligence piece, it's really the idea to seize the great opportunities that have an impact on the client, thrill the client, and you can generate great profits too. That's the idea. It's an ability to see it and see the things that would make you 20 or 30% net, as an example, or dramatically enhance your growth rate, or even lock up a customer and get incredible loyalty of a customer or a big group of customers, whatever it happens to be. There's many forms of winning, but intelligence, you can see things. I mean, we both work with some incredibly intelligent CEOs and executives. And, I could tell you about 20 of them that just blow me away. And that's where I've learned so much over the years is these amazing people. One of my clients, I'm going to keep this generic, but he found a way to lock up the top 5 customers in an industry in a way where they spent every dollar through him and contractually could not spend any money on his competitors. With a 5-year retroactive clause, if they spent a dollar, up until the last 5 years, all of the discounts were owed back, and he gave them massive discounts. So it would have been the tens of millions of dollars they would retroactively own him. So big teeth in that contract. But because he had those 5, who he did give a substantial discount, he got the rest of the industry. And actually, I think it was 5 top clients. I think it might have been, sorry, it was a couple of different industries, but he got the top couple of leaders in an industry, and then the rest of the business was there because his top customers was there. It was incredible. So that is intelligent, basically controlling the market by doing a lucrative contract with a few, and then you get the many. Again, we call those X factors. They're brilliant. It's, same with the husband and wife team in California. She operates the Palm brand of its pomegranate juice. Yep. And he has the brand Wonderful Pistachios, both premium brands in their space. They're one of the biggest landowners in the state of California. And if you know anything about California, a controversial issue that has been in California is that farming consumes more than 80% of the water in the state of California and produces notably less than 10% of the GDP. And water is scarce. Well, this couple, a little bit on the smart side, and going back about 10 years, they had secured and own more than 1/3 of the water in the state of California. They own it. Wow. Yes, they sell water rights in the United States of America. Owning water in a farming area that also happens to be an area that requires irrigation because it doesn't rain enough is that's damn intelligent. Not only to see the opportunity, but to find a way to buy that and continue to control it through all the lawsuits. So there's endless examples, but it's about thinking about how you have a notable impact on an industry in a way that's good for you and or your customers.
Yeah, customer I work with, about 200 million. They would have been, an 8 or a 9 on discipline, but a 1 or a 2 on intelligence. So let's move on to discipline.
Yes. And the main thing about discipline is it's not human, right? Humans are creative and free thinking, and by nature, I mean, some people are more disciplined than others. Actually, I will say that there are some very disciplined people in the world. And, the truth of it is, without discipline, those ideas are a dime a dozen. They're not brought to life in a consistent way that, that provides insights and, can help iterate the ideas and make them better. You need discipline to implement things. And as Collins would say, success is relentless execution of the boring basics that fit in your hedgehog. Hedgehog being your simplification of your business model. Relentless execution of the boring basics. That's discipline. And we've talked about in the companies that we work with, we bring in a lot of disciplines. And why do companies want to generally keep working with us long term? Is because we keep that discipline engine going on the parts that are hard to have discipline around. It's hard to continually have deep financial reviews and KPI reviews and goal reviews, and to hold tension in the room to truly look at the accountability and how to be better next time.
Yeah.
Because there's 14 other things to focus on. So discipline is critical, and it's something we all, including myself, can always get better at.
And that's why the great teams, they understand that an external advisor, what you and I do, the way that we apply things, it's not just about, I want to learn something new all the time. It's about, let's come back and keep us on track. Like, get someone who isn't an employee to keep us on track, understand best practice. And we spoke about that earlier, but understand what is the best practice to keep us on track, and have that external discipline, that external focus on what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's somebody to run the damn meeting, because running a meeting is one hell of a discipline, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
Running a 2 or 3 day strategic meeting with 10, 12, 14 people, that is very, very challenging, not for the faint of heart. And to do it well, you need to do it a lot,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a discipline. That's why you go to a master on that stuff.
Yeah. So it's the discipline of not taking on new things, understanding the strategy. We've spoken about all of this stuff. Like, it's the weekly meeting, the daily meeting, the quarterly, the annual meeting, all of those components about having the right data and the right metrics, and equally having the right priorities that are structured in a way that you've got 3 to 5 priorities and not more for each business, department, individual, and that you're focused on those things and not getting distracted, importantly.
Yeah, so like the company I shared with you, that they're getting, no, they're not at 100 million of net, but getting pretty damn close. Every quarter for more than 10 years, I get face to face with them, except during COVID.
Yeah.
And we spend a morning doing a full financial review, full ROC review, full KPI review, customer feedback, employee feedback. We do a full talent review of our top performers, and we do everything by division, by region, by line. Like we split it all up. We split up and dissect the entire thing. And then we do an after action review. Great. What do we do well? How do we do better next time? Everybody makes notes of how we're going to have a better quarter next time. Then we have strategic debates on the important stuff, the discipline to grind through the important things and make those decisions. And then we go and set our goals for the next 90 days at the company level, discipline to break down into detailed action plans that we're going to follow, getting feedback from the colleagues in the room, further enhancing the action plans for the quarter. And then everyone sets their individual goals for themselves and their team. And we've done it 40, 50 times.
Yeah.
And it's and it's enhancing, it's getting better and better, but we're grinding it out. It's like running laps in soccer or football practice. We're just grinding it out, getting better and better and better.
Awesome.
And shockingly, it works. Not
shockingly. Yeah. So I think we've covered off our main points. Is that right?
We have. Yeah. So let's just summarize. Profit, or sustainable, enduring business that is highly profitable, is intelligence multiplied by discipline, right? That you got to have the good thinking, and then you got to bring it to life relentlessly. And really, under intelligence, we talked about not all business models are created equally. Some people will make 5 points to the bottom line when others will make 35 in the same business. And it's not just about profit, but it's, when you have more profit, you have more options. And we know these ideas are abundant, and it's the discipline to grind things out that brings that intelligence to life. And really, if you're not careful and you don't do enough thinking, you can push yourself into a commodity zone and accept lower returns, and eventually put, a business that makes 3 points in an industry that normally makes 10 or 12 and needs 10 or 12 puts a lot of constraints, and it really can constrict you as you grow the business, or even try to grow the business. Brad, do you want to take over on the intelligence side? Or actually, no, that wasn't one more intelligence. It's really about seizing the opportunities and focusing resources on opportunities that pay for the customers and you. And things like X factors and locking up top customers or owning the water in the state. Those are all tiny examples of things that have taken a lot of thinking and intelligence to bring to life. You want to do the discipline piece, Brad?
Yeah. So success is relentless execution of the boring basics over a long period of time, and that goes against the human brain's need for creativity, and it's tough. But profit comes from the multiplication of intelligence and discipline. You've got to have that intelligence aspect. If you've only got the intelligence and you don't have the discipline, you won't have the profit that is so important. And then we spoke about the tools, KPIs, goals, financial reporting, customer feedback, all of those tools, but in the broad section of execution, which is making sure that we've got the right priorities, making sure that we've got the meeting rhythm, and making sure that we've got the data and the KPIs. And so when we maintain that discipline and then we multiply that by the intelligence, that's when we get the profit.
Yeah, consistently. Awesome. Well, hey, and the question we can leave you with is, on your company, what do you need to shore up more? Discipline or intelligence? Thinking or getting the critical stuff done? So thanks for listening. This has been the Growth Whisperers podcast with Brad Giles and Kevin Lawrence. For more information on the show, you can go and check out or watch the YouTube versions of the show, actually at youtube.com, search The Growth Whisperers. For Brad, evolutionpartners.com.au. And for myself, Kevin, lawrenceandco.com. I was going to say my email there, Kevin. But by the way, if you have ideas for questions you would like to have Brad and I answer on the show, you can email us. You can email Kevin at lawrenceandco, LAWRENCEANDCO.com, or Brad at evolutionpartners.com.au. Email us if you've got specific questions you'd like us to answer, and we will do that on a future show. Have an awesome week.